As debates around governance, civic rights and accountability continues, Nigeria's democracy once again comes under focus. Recent developments have sparked conversation about how freedom of speech and also the right to protest are being exercised and protected. Tonight, we examine the state of democracy and freedom of speech in Nigeria and what these issues mean for the nation's democratic journey. Now, joining us to further discuss this is Omoyele Sowore, the convener of #RevolutionNow movement. He joins virtually. It's great to have you again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right. I think we're having a bit of audio issues. I couldn't really get you. But let's get straight into the conversation right now. Let's do a bit of, what I call it, a drawback into the recent protest that happened. And, of course, we know you were arrested and then you are detained and then released and then held again, and now you're free. Can you just quickly walk us through, what happened during that period?
Well, as you guys are aware, I was part of, I helped organize a Nnamdi Kanu Now protests in Abuja and across many cities in the country. And prior to that, we did inform the police that there were protests and we were going to Aso Rock. They even invited us to a meeting the Friday before. I went to the FCT command. They said, no, you're not the one we want to meet with. While we were meeting with them, while that was happening, I left their office and only to get to town a few hours later while we were mobilizing from market to markets in Abuja and street to street, that they had rushed to court to obtain an order of court against us. Initially, they wanted the judge to ban the protest altogether, but I think the judge was smart enough to avoid that pitfall. And then they went into the chambers of the judge to get a different order, which says we cannot march around sensitive areas. But it was specifically stated in the Schedule 3 of the order that we must be served on Friday. They made no effort to serve us. They put it on the internet that we've been stopped. They created a lot of misleading information in the public. So, but eventually, on the day of the protest, we did come out and we were brutally attacked. So I left the scene of the initial scene of the protest in front of Transcorp. And we successfully mobilized and had the protests around Abuja. Markets were shut down from Abuja to Akure and the southeast. I had parts of Port Harcourt, Kano. All over, it was a successful protest. And I think that's what got them upset, that they couldn't frustrate the protest. So some of our colleagues were arrested on that Monday. They were tortured. And I went to the SCT command, met with them, and told them I was the organizer of the protest, that they could arrest me if they want and leave all these innocent persons. They were 13 in number at that point. But they said, no, they didn't even say anything about it, because then they promised that they will release them on bail. Only for us to get outside of the FCT command after we met with them. Once CSP Barao Elias came to me and took a walk with me, he was saying, can you move people out of here? That was the 6th place we visited on the day of the protest. And next, he mobilized some mobile policemen and started attacking us right in front of the FCT command, and we left. So we discovered that they took them to Kuje. They informed their lawyers. First, they took them to the place they call Abattoir, which is what used to be former SARS torture chamber in Abuja, still there. And then next day, drove them to Kuje. We ran to Kuje. Before we got there, the judge had denied them bail because he said the lawyer that showed up said their original lawyer, Barrister Maxwell Okpara, was on his way, and the judge just summarily denied them bail and remanded them in prison. So we came back to town. Next day was Kanu's trial. I also had a trial at the Federal High Court, but the judge didn't show up. So I went and tried to enter into the courtroom where Kanu's trial was taking place. They didn't let me in, so I hung around and met with him briefly. First time I met him since 2019, and uploaded the meeting on my social media handles. Next thing, I was standing in front of the court and the police officer came by and said, the commissioner would like to see me. So I followed him. And I met the DCP CID, and he said, we'd like to know more about the protest. I said, but this is weird. I was here. He said, you don't need me. I came here the other day. I talked to you, say you are releasing, and the next I said, this is very sad that this is what the police has become. And they started to get rude with me, and he invited this same CSP, Oyasu, Morale, to go and interrogate me. So I got upstairs, he presented some paper, I said, you should write statement. I don't write statement. I'm not going to write any statement. There's no crime here. And because I knew they had planned it. Next, they brought a vehicle and they took me to their detention center, same abattoir.
The same
and
abattoir?
Detained me overnight. Yes. Detained me overnight, and they took me to Kuje Magistrate Court, where they took the other guys. And when we arrived there, they brought the other guys, and they charged me along with them. And we took a plea. We were granted bail. Where the bail was granted, I saw Barao, this same CSP Barao, and Adama, who is the chief legal officer of the FCT command, go into the judge's chamber. So I followed them. As I was about to follow them, Barao had seized my phone from one of my assistants, and I had to collect my phone back from him. While we're having that argument, they told the judge to leave, that there's going to be a crisis, they can't guarantee his safety. But before he left, they got him to sign my remand order. Well, at that point, we had already concluded our bail conditions, because there were simple bail conditions. The Jadeoju and our bail people were there, so it was kind of liberal.
So what was
then,
I mean,
yes.
just to cut to it, what was now the reason, the main, even though we know that there is, reason out there, what was the reason they held you for?
Peace, and they claimed in the that we violated court order by embarking on a protest. But what I know about law, I'm not a lawyer, is that if you go to a court to seek an order, and there's a violation of that court order, it's called contempt. You go and file your Form 48 and 49 to commit the person to prison. But they never did, because they know that they won't have any valid grounds in court. So they took laws into their hand and claimed that our arraignment was based on a violation of court order, that we were trying to enter into one of the restricted areas. I never heard of it before, that a constitutionally restricted area exists in Nigeria where you can't protest.
All right. Just before we go on this break, please, talking about the restricted, I mean, quote and unquote, restricted areas that they accused you of breaching during the protest. Were you aware of it prior to the protest, of these restricted areas?
No, that's what I was telling you. We're supposed to have been served with the court order. They never served us.
All right.
So it is only when you serve that the order can be activated. They never did.
All right, thank you so much. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll definitely dig more on the impact of protest and some of the challenges that have been experienced even in the country's nascent democracy. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. And of course, I still have my guest, Omoyele Sowore, is the, of course, convener of the #RevolutionNow movement. He joins me virtually. Thank you once again for staying with me. Now, I just want to know, I mean, how you feel, because I know a while ago you did protest in support of the welfare of police officers. You went out on the streets, you galvanized, and you of course led that march. And fast forward weeks after, is some men in this will I call it field that you protested for, that still picked you up and locked you up, and they were of course used to quote and unquote, to sort of stifle that protest. For you as a convener of, multiple protests, does this dampen your morale? That the same set of people you came out for sometime in recent past are the same set of people you're having issues with, now?
No, my commitment to human rights, my commitment to welfare of workers, or the respect for the dignity of man has nothing to do with who the person is. Even for my worst enemies, I'll fight. I knew the police is an irresponsible organization. I know it has a lot of bad eggs from the top to the bottom. But I also realized that they, retired and serving policemen, need better conditions of service. That those who are retired need gratuity and pensions that shows that they serve the country. So I wasn't expecting any response or favor from the police. You're talking about this latest one. My hand was broken by police the week after I protested on their behalf. They came to FID cell in the morning. My hand was injured by a CSP. The same policeman I fought for, they invaded my cell, beat me up, roughened me up. This time around too, they roughened me up. They forced me into a car after they forcibly obtained a remand order that I couldn't meet my bail condition. Chased the judge away. I had to stay in Kuje prison for 3 nights just because they were trying to get back at me. And part of the reason they were trying to get back at me is because I fought for the welfare of police. Over 29,000 policemen were promoted because we had that protest called the police protest. But I don't do anything or any of these things, you know, in expectation that somebody will be kind to me. No,
given what you have experienced, in the hands of the police, will you still organize a protest? In favor of policemen in the country again?
I would do protests for police, prison warders. I'll do protests for anybody. You know, you probably, if you go on my Facebook page today, we're planning a protest for contract staffers, people who are made staff for contracts for 20 years. So protest is something that has to do with our fundamental rights. It's how we reset, you know, our society. It's the way we use our conscience to fight power.
But what do you have to say? What do you have to say to people who feel that protests don't have effect as it used to be anymore? We've seen multiple protests in recent times happen, yet those challenges still persist. Do you think that the approach should be changed?
You know, those who say so are saying so because they don't know how much they don't let people know the kind of changes that happen when a protest happens. That's part of the strategy of the state, to make people feel like protest is useless. I just told you now, and I'm sure you didn't know, that over 29,000 policemen who had not been promoted from 8 years were promoted because of the protest. Even the guy whose video I uploaded to my Facebook page, who said was paid 2 million naira as gratuity, eventually got 6 million. Now, there's a major debate to create a police pension board, which should give them better conditions of service. There are conversations that are happening because of protests that otherwise would not have happened. So I know this because I've been involved in a lot of protests. It was protests that brought us democracy. And let me tell you, all these people that tell you protest doesn't work, you go and cheat them today, they'll protest. There's likely no former Nigerian president that has ever protested before. Obasanjo protested, Buhari protested, Tinubu not only protested, he was paying people for protests in this country until he became president. You know, people protested for Goodluck Jonathan when he was hemmed in by the Yaradua Kappa.
Is that also, sorry to interrupt you, Omoyele Sowore. You have listed a couple of presidents who followed the line of protest. Is that also your, will I call it, your strategy to get to the top?
No. If protests were to get somebody to the top, I think I would have become president some 20 years ago.
Because you've been a presidential candidate. A couple of times. So one might want to say maybe that is your strategy to get there.
No, I was protesting when I had no political interest. So I'm just trying to correct the impression that I'm not trying to do protest to power. That is what the APC people did. My own partisan involvement in politics is to fundamentally change Nigeria. You know, the people who will become the next president may be people who have never protested before. So I'm just trying to tell you that, yes, I know that trick question, but that's not my intention. I've been protesting since I was 21 years old, when I wasn't qualified to be president, even if I wanted to.
Okay, but since you said that, so what's in it for you?
Betterment of the country. You know, I'm hoping that in protesting all these terrible conditions, everybody can be conscientized, mobilized, and educated enough to seek total liberation one day. Because ultimately, it is when we put our feet on the ground, everybody protesting at once is called a revolution.
Now, let's talk about protest and how this current administration has handled it. I'm talking about the APC government since it assumed power. I mean, you said that quite a couple of them were part and parcel of protest in the past. But do we still see a government that is a product of protest rating protests now?
You know, this APC regime, the All Progressives Congress, has treated protests the worst and almost in the history of democratic rule. You remember Lekki Toll Gate, where they opened fire on protesters, even during military rule in this country. I don't remember, except in Ikorodu when Abacha was passing and we were protesting against G12, and he said his convoy was intercepted or interrupted, and he opened fire on people. We were almost killed on that day too, killed several people. Since then, the APC regime under Buhari was the first to kill that number of persons for protest. They killed Lekki Toll Gate people. They massacred Shiites for protesting. What led to the massacre of Shiites was a protest in which an army officer claimed that, one of the protesters touched his chest in uniform. They went and mobilized at night and killed them and buried them in shallow graves. Tinubu is doing it. One of the reasons why I started my campaign against Egbetokun was how he handled the August 2024 NBAC governance protest. How he picked up kids, shot at people indiscriminately across the north in particular, and then there was no remorse. Till today, he denies it. But he was the first Inspector General of Police who used his office to charge underage kids for treason. And some people have forgotten. And since then, I said, well, this guy have no place in modern, in a democratic society and in a modern police place. So that was cause of it. So I can tell you categorically that these guys don't want expression of opinions, like freedom of movement or freedom to protest. They use the courts the most. They have judges who do their bidding when it comes to what they call Cybercrime Act. Any little thing you say about an APC person, you're in jail. Anything you say about any protest, you're in jail. High-handedness, they're brutal at, protesters. But what I can tell you is that minds are hardening, and one day they'll get their comeuppance.
All right, let's move away from protests, and let's talk about a recent development that, came, even though it's pretty much at the level of the shadows. And that's the rumor of, a coup plot that has, been at the center of conversations. We recently saw Mr. President even overhaul his service chiefs. I mean, with all of these recent developments, what's your take, Omoyele Sowore?
Well, as you are aware, it's not a rumor. And when there's a coup, there was a coup plot, and people were rounded up. And the revolution came from Sahara Reporters, the newspaper I founded. And their reaction. It's fake news. They sponsored their trolls. They were attacking everybody who revealed this. Well, we knew a long time ago that this was the situation. I think they started planning the coup since 2024, and I think it was followed in 2025.
They started, I mean, from the intel that you have, they started the planning from 2024.
Yes. Some of the sources that I spoke to told me that part of the reason the crackdown was very hard on the NBAC governance was because they knew around that time that some people were planning a coup. And I think some arrests of military officers were made around that period too. So if you notice during NBAC governance, their major grasp was that, there was Russian flags on the street and this would promote coup. And it was a time that all these Sahel countries had been taken over by military jackboots. So they started that around 2024, from what I heard. So, but I think maybe they didn't strike then, and then they kept monitoring some of them. A lot of them are disgruntled officers in the Nigerian army who felt that things are not going the way they should. But let me make it very clear, I can never support military rule. Again, I've seen the worst military rule in my lifetime. Nobody can come and tell me, fellow Nigeria, we know things are wrong. these military guys that are planning to take over, that are planning coup, will be worse than the civilians we have. What we should do, and I've said this, anybody who loves Nigeria, is all of us to take on the system at once, have a revolution. You get another government in uniform, all these army generals we're seeing, colonels and all that, they're the reason why there's insecurity in the country. Some of the most undisciplined set of people you can imagine in the country, corrupt, they own real estate in Abuja. They're the ones, some of them supply weapons to terrorists and bandits. So I'm never going to support a military takeover of power. I'm just giving you information that I have.
All right. Just before I let you know, do you think that this recent overhaul of the security chiefs by Mr. President would improve the security situation in the country? A simple answer.
If he was serious, and you can accuse me of bias, he should have fired Ebetokun. Then I would know that he wants to improve the security architecture. I think one military guy said today that even in all of this, he should go and overhaul the police. That tells you that this is a joke.
All right. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you, Omoyele Sowore, convener, #RevolutionNow movement. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.